5 healthy coping skills for facing setbacks. Mishaps are shockingly a piece of living in this day and age. At times, when you put out objectives and take actions to achieve these objectives, unexpected and pointless misfortunes can happen. This is the reason the requirement for sound adapting methodologies emerges. Mastering adapting abilities for confronting misfortunes will help your emotional well-being. These adapting abilities will likewise assist you with transforming mishaps into freedoms to develop on an individual level. Why setbacks pose a challenge to your mental health. Responses to mishaps are the absolute most prominent justifications for why difficulties can make your psychological well-being endure a shock, clarifies Psychology Today. The distribution takes note of that certain individuals tend to utilize radical and drastic actions when faced with difficulties. As a rule, exceptional and outrageous responses to mishaps are not beneficial. This is the reason knowing the right adapting methodologies has a particularly colossal effect. The emotional factor. The enthusiastic factor of difficulties is one more justification for why these difficulties can extraordinarily affect psychological wellness. Many individuals become sincerely appended to the objectives they set, regardless of whether they deliberately understand this. Being sincerely joined to objectives is fine, however knowing sound adapting systems is basic. With the right information and mentality, mishaps can undoubtedly be transformed into upsides that just improve the inevitable triumph of achieving the ideal endgame. Dread of what others might believe. Valuable adapting abilities for confronting misfortunes are significant. Of equivalent significance isn't belittling the dread of what others may accept. As a rule, individuals are vocal with regards to their arrangements, objectives, and different aims with individuals they invest energy with. At the point when misfortunes emerge, misgiving of what others may think on the off chance that they thought about these mishaps is frequently a factor. Perceive when this is going on and recall that an individual can't handle what others think and that eventually, what others think doesn't affect the result of how the misfortune is taken care of. The best coping skills for facing setbacks. Throughout everyday life, mishaps can emerge abruptly, suddenly, and during the most untimely occasions. Admittance to sound ways of dealing with stress can just help you and save the nature of your emotional wellness. Coming up next are 5 adapting abilities clarified so you can start utilizing them to assist you with managing difficulties. Discover the learning opportunity. When confronted with mishaps throughout everyday life, discovering the learning opportunity is one of the best adapting methodologies. The American Psychological Association takes note of the significance of leading a situational investigation. When confronted with difficulties, such an examination is the thing that helps transform an apparently regrettable circumstance into a positive one. What preferred way of doing this over to decide ways you can gain from the misfortune you have confronted? Over the long haul, resulting in these present circumstances, acknowledgement can just help your psychological well-being and guarantee that you are more ready for any mishaps which introduce themselves later. Consider an alternative path forward. Like discovering the learning and open door in difficulties, thinking about an elective way ahead is additionally on the rundown of extraordinary adapting methodologies. Depend on it. Checking out an alternate way ahead doesn't imply that you should switch or even abandon an objective. It basically implies that there is quite often more than one method of getting someplace. When managing a difficulty in your own life, probably the best thing to accomplish for your psychological wellness is to sort out a way of continuing to push ahead. Tracking down an elective way for going ahead doesn't generally happen out of the blue. And that is okay. In some cases, deciding another course sets aside time, thought, and reflection. Every one of these things can likewise help your emotional wellness and permit you to gain from mishaps. Try not to succumb to negative thinking. The National Institute of Mental Health subtleties the plenty of ways that negative reasoning can affect your psychological well-being or even demonstrate existing issues. Much of the time, most would agree that confronting difficulties in life can, for a brief time, increment the weakness of an individual's passionate and additionally psychological wellness. Thus, not surrendering to negative reasoning and staying positive is more difficult than one might expect, yet totally basic. Staying positive as an adapting expertise doesn't mean rejecting that you're confronted with a mishap. Notwithstanding, positive reasoning means recalling that in spite of the current mishap, you are as yet fit. Not capitulating to negative reasoning won't just help your psychological wellness, however it will likewise improve the probability of a transitory difficulty not becoming extremely durable. Now and then, it's not the difficulty that people groups in, but rather the way in which individuals respond. This is the reason solid adapting systems are so basic. Enjoy some time off. Because of the effect that misfortunes can have on enthusiastic and psychological wellness, some of the time, having some time off is one of the most amazing adapting abilities. The ability to enjoy some time off doesn't mean abandoning an objective you've been attempting to accomplish. It basically implies clearing your head, pulling together, and later getting back to the circumstance with a new outlook and possibly groundbreaking thoughts. The impulse to take a stab at demolishing through mishaps is regularly a factor. In some cases, this can work, however in different cases, you will be vastly improved to respite and return sometime in the not-too-distant future and time. Numerous incredible objectives in life set aside time, exertion, and diligence to accomplish. Encircle yourself with loved ones. Staying with great and investing energy with individuals who have your well-being on the most fundamental level is an incredible expansion to this rundown of adapting abilities. In all honesty, being around others can really facilitate the method involved with adapting notwithstanding difficulties. Encircle yourself with friends and family isn't just useful for your emotional wellness, yet it can likewise give an outlet to you to vent and impart your contemplations to other people. Thusly, you can deliver repressed feelings and perhaps even take in something from the input you receive consequently. Knowing the right adapting systems is incredible, however being around individuals who can help you as you adapt additionally has a constructive outcome. Last thoughts on healthy coping skills. Pretty much everybody has their own techniques for adapting notwithstanding mishaps. Whichever way you take, you should ensure that your picked adapting methodologies are useful for your emotional wellness. Some significant data to recollect is that not all difficulties are negative. In actuality, there are times when misfortunes can be surprisingly beneficial developments. Now and then, you might be preparing to commit an error. A misfortune could really keep you from going down an off-base way or settling on a choice that you may lament later. Notwithstanding what difficulties you might be confronting, you can just profit from creating sound adapting abilities. Over the long haul, the right methods for dealing with stress can become propensities for future occasions when you are confronted with mishaps. Regardless of whether you have not generally reacted to past misfortunes in the most ideal manner, it is never past the point where it is possible to make a fresh start or roll out an improvement. A significant number of the best and most helpful examples of overcoming adversity are of people who confronted, adapted to, and hence, conquer misfortunes. You can do likewise. Looking for professional support for coping with setbacks. The 5 adapting abilities recorded above can prove to be useful when you end up confronting mishaps throughout everyday life. So, Proficient help alongside following your own ways of dealing with stress is likewise enthusiastically suggested. An expert may likewise have the option to give customized adapting abilities that are remarkably pertinent to you and your circumstance. In spite of what certain individuals may accept, there is nothing off about requesting emotional well-being backing or direction. Doing as such doesn't make you to a lesser degree an individual or diminish what your identity is, truly. When you work with an emotional well-being trained professional, you are improving the probability of really developing personally and improving as a variant of yourself. On the off chance that you verify that expert help is something you're keen on, you can pursue online treatment. You will actually want to interface with your specialist whenever in an assortment of helpful strategies: live video meetings, telephone meetings, live talk, and secure informing. Regardless of whether you are chipping away at creating sound adapting abilities, confronting mishaps, or managing a completely unique issue, working with a web-based specialist can transform you. Numerous members have tracked down that internet-based treatment, tested them, permitted them to become familiar with themselves, and foster life and relational abilities. Online treatment accompanies many advantages and conceivable outcomes. An internet-based advisor can assist you with creating adapting abilities, beat difficulties, and take on any extra difficulties in your day-to-day existence. BetterHelp anticipates being in your corner as you make strides towards a more splendid, satisfying, and promising future.